Hey everyone, welcome back to LT Gaming. My name is Tom and I'm going to be your guide today through the world of gaming, and we're diving into another early access review here, and we're checking out Endzone 2, a game that's about to hit the scene on August 26. Now if you love post-apocalyptic settings and challenging gameplay, you might be in for a treat. Endzone 2 is all about survival in a world that's been torn apart by a cataclysmic disaster. Imagine this, you're leading a group of survivors to rebuild society from scratch, scouring the last habitable zones on Earth, and it's ensuring your people thrive against the odds as you face unpredictable weather, scarce resources, and the constant threat of irradiated danger. So what is this video going to be about? We're going to dive deep into Endzone 2, explore its core gameplay mechanics, what features it brings to the table over its predecessor, and whether or not it's worth your time in early access. So let's see if Endzone 2 has what it takes to become your next favourite survival game. Alright, let's kick things off by setting the scene for Endzone 2. Imagine a world where danger is lurking around every corner. We have radioactive wastelands, deadly droughts, toxic rain, and fierce sandstorms. And they're just a few of the threats you're going to face. Your mission here is not just to survive, but you're going to need to build and expand your settlement, research new technologies, refine scarce resources, and construct a robust infrastructure to keep everything running smoothly. At its core, Endzone 2 is all about managing your community in a world that is very unforgiving. You start by taking direct control of a settlement bus and choosing your starting location, with some care of course, and I enjoyed this aspect quite a bit. From there, you're free to explore the vast hostile wasteland, and the landscape is filled with these ancient ruins and treasures and opportunities for missions, so you can keep building upon your success. As you explore, you'll find different zones teeming with unique resources, each offering its own set of challenges and rewards. This allows you to manage multiple settlements, and each brings its own strategic significance to your strategy. This game isn't just about building and developing your settlements for survival and existence though. It's about a journey of optimization to create a thriving economic system. You have the chance to erect a variety of buildings and upgrade these buildings as well, with each process adding to the prosperity and resilience of your society. To ensure economic stability, you'll also have to research new tech, develop refined resources, and maintain efficient production lines. Now let's dig into the heart of Endzone 2, the gameplay mechanics. At its core, the game is a base building colony simulator. It starts off with a very thorough and well-crafted tutorial. I've got to say, this is one of the best I've played in a long time, and it helps you set up your initial settlement and learn the ropes of the game. You quickly go from managing a small town to overseeing a thriving network of interconnected communities, each with their own challenges and needs, but all helping you progress towards an overall goal. When it comes to managing your people, your role isn't just about keeping them alive. You actually have a fair turnover of different survivors. It's about fostering your economy so they can thrive towards greater prosperity in the future. So for this end, you have to focus on their well-being, ensuring they have everything they need to be happy, and maybe more importantly, productive. Establishing and maintaining trade routes is a crucial part of this, for the exchange of essential goods between areas. And this is the lifeline of your settlements. Some areas will have certain resources you need to advance on, and you have to use maybe your main colony or your food hub to make sure that that other second settlement can survive, for example. So it goes beyond just trying to merely survive and actually push you towards prosperity. The threat here is the ever dynamic and ever changing host of environmental hazards that you're going to face. One moment you can be flourishing, and next you're under a violent siege from sandstorms, which are tearing apart your infrastructure, a drought which destroy your water supplies. So you constantly have to be on your toes and adapt to these shifting conditions, and this is the challenge or the hook of the game in essence. Then there is a massive role within the game for exploration. Armed with your trusty bus, your Pathfinder, you'll navigate through the perilous wastelands. And this is a hostile terrain filled with ancient ruins, loot, and challenging missions for you to partake in. So you can give in to your explorer's instincts to get more rewards, such as discovering rare resources or unlocking new tech. However, exploration has its risks. If you venture too far from the safety of your settlement, it can lead to disaster, endangering your explorers and potentially triggering some catastrophic events. Let's talk a bit about the visuals and sound design in Endzone 2. Overall, the game has a very presentable look. The UI is good and functional, it gets the job done. I will say from a graphical perspective, some of the textures might come off as a bit dull at times, but there is still some charm in how the game presents its world. The attention to detail in the environment and buildings is probably the most impressive part. You might notice a table with the remnants of last night's dinner outside a tent, or an open window in an abandoned ruin. These little touches combined with seeing your settlers go about their daily routines really adds to the immersion. I do wish these elements were more dynamic though and evolved over time rather than just being static, and then they would contribute to this feeling of a living, breathing world. Shifting gears to the audio, the sound design is very effective. The ambient noises like the chirping of birds in a forest or the eerie howl of wind through a dilapidated ruin really set the tone and draw you into the grim atmosphere of the game. These subtle details make the world feel alive and responsive to what's happening around you. As for the soundtrack, it does a decent job of complementing the gameplay, but it doesn't have those standout tracks that stick with you long after you stop playing. Nothing that you're going to find yourself humming along to. It's more of a background presence that helps set the mood without stealing the spotlight. Overall, whilst Endzone 2 might not wow you with groundbreaking visuals or a mind-blowing soundtrack, it definitely knows how to create an atmosphere that feels authentic to its post-apocalyptic setting. The visual details and sound effects work together to make a world that feels real, if sometimes somewhat understated. So why is Endzone 2 launching into early access? The devs say they've chosen this route to make sure the game evolves in line with player expectation and feedback, and they want to involve the community early on in this process. When we look at timeline for the early access, they're saying at least a year. They say they have a pretty extensive wish list of features they want to add in, so they're not ruling out a longer development period if needed. What is going to be in the EA version though? So you'll have an endless game mode along with the comprehensive tutorial I mentioned before, and this core gameplay includes several disasters and threats to test your skills, along with procedural map generation. Versus the final version where they're going to have a lot more buildings, missions and expeditions. So you need to weigh this up and see if this is something you want to jump into now or maybe wait for the full release. So let's dive into my favorite section in any review, what's working and what's not, pros and cons. First off, this game is a solid and expansive colony sim. The supply chain dynamics are intricate and they give you plenty to think about when it comes to keeping everything running smoothly. There's a lot to manage from resources to logistics, and that complexity for many people is going to be a big part of the fun. The tutorial, I have to shout out again, it's a strong point. It's thorough and detailed, and by the time you finish it, you feel well prepared to tackle the challenges that the game's going to throw at you. It's one of those rare tutorials that actually makes me feel like I know what I'm doing when I come out of it. The area mechanics have quite a familiar vibe to them. Think Against the Storm-esque, but with the added twist of the Pathfinder vehicle supply dynamics, it does add a unique layer to the gameplay, and it made it fresh and engaging for me. Exploring the ruins is also a fun minigame that brings a sense of adventure and coming out of the colony sim side of it, and it's a nice break from the day-to-day management of your settlement. But I am curious to see how this holds up over the long term and whether it might start to feel repetitive, but I've enjoyed it so far. Now, on the cons side, areas for improvement. First and foremost, the game needs more content. And after a while, my colony was running smoothly and the game started to feel a bit aimless. There's always plenty to do early on, but I hit a certain point and I was left wanting to do a little bit more. Visually, while the detail on the building and other elements is appreciated, as I said before, the overall aesthetic feels a little bit drab. I get it, we're dealing with an apocalyptic wasteland, but a little bit more visual richness could go a long way in making this world more engaging. Lastly, I found myself wanting some kind of active threat beyond just environmental hazards. Having enemies, whether they're rival survivors, mutated animals, or some other form of danger, and this would really enhance the feeling of apocalyptic struggle for me. It's the one thing to fight against the elements, but having a more tangible foe would add another layer of tension and excitement. So there you have it. Endzone 2 has a lot going for it, with its deep colony sim mechanics and engaging gameplay, but there's a lot of room for growth, especially when it comes to content, visuals, and adding a bit more danger into the mix. Alright LT gamers, wrapping things up for Endzone 2, this one definitely has the foundation of a standout colony sim. It's got the framework in place for something truly great, but right now it's still building up its content, and that is early access for you. It feels like we have a skeleton here, but it's waiting for that extra meat to really bring it to life. I genuinely enjoyed my time with the game though. It has a lot of potential and there's plenty to like, but I didn't quite feel that addictive pull that separates good colony sims from the truly great ones. These days it's easy to get caught up in the hype with so many new releases, and I hear a lot of over the top enthusiasm from other YouTubers and things like that, so I want to try to give you a balanced perspective so you know exactly what you're getting into. If you're a fan of colony sims and you love the apocalyptic setting and you're willing to be part of a game's development journey through early access, then this is a good pick for you. It's a solid buy if you want to watch this grow and evolve over time. However, if you're looking for the fully polished game with all the bells and whistles right out of the gate, I would say hold off and see how it develops. Wait for some more content and refinement, just be aware the price will go up throughout the early access period. Thanks for tuning in guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you have, and don't forget to subscribe to LT Gaming for more reviews, gameplays and everything else in between on the latest games. Let me know in the comments if you're planning to dive into Endzone 2 or if you have any questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye now.